Lots of people ask me, whether it's at my talks or on social media, how do I get started when it comes to decluttering? I think a lot of people find it an enormously overwhelming task, and quite rightly. So my tips for getting started in a way that is going to work long term is, number one, stop seeing your home as one enormous task. If you do that, number one, you're going to get overwhelmed. Number two, you're going to take on something that's kind of unrealistic to complete. So as an example, this weekend I'm going to declutter my home. Well, if you're going to do it properly and then you're going to organise it too, it's not that realistic unless you own next to nothing. How about you start with the room that is annoying you most? Simple as that. The room that drives you the craziest, the room that you feel makes you mad or gets you stressed of a morning. Doesn't have to be a room, can be an area. Think smaller than I'm decluttering my whole home, and you will be much more likely to work on an area, get it finished, and feel that feeling of success. When you get that feeling of success, you are much more likely next weekend, in a few weeks, to start on another area. A lot of people as well, it works really well for doing a little bit every night. So again, I often advise, take 20 minutes out of your evening, just 20 minutes. You pull out a drawer, empty it out. Don't faff about in it. Empty it out, and then just start a basic categorisation of what you've got. Have a bin bag or a carrier bag next to you. Just start throwing out. When you put it back in an organised fashion, and that's it. Stop. Don't do anything else that evening. And that's actually the part of the fight. You've got to stop yourself, because if you start entering into something else, you are, what we all say, is biting off more than you can chew. So stop. 20 minutes a night is a great way to start your declutter. The next thing to think about when you are decluttering is technique. As an example, if you are decluttering a drawer, what you don't want to do is open the drawer and start faffing about and not really getting anywhere. What you want to do is get that drawer, making sure there's obviously nothing liquid that could spill or anything sharp you could hurt yourself with, and you want to tip it out. You want to get your drawer, you want to give it a nice clean, which symbolises a fresh start, and then with the contents put to the side, do a rough little categorisation and see what you've got, how many of things you've got, and get a plastic bag or a bin bag and throw away everything that you know you do not need. So when it comes to corners, wardrobes, paperwork, do the same. You know, this might be part of a small task. You might have other things in the house that connect to the area that you're working on, but that's okay for now. Just work on the area that you are working on. Concentrate on that, and don't let your mind get distracted by anything else. Don't worry about anything else. This is the right way to do it, and this is how you're going to get through your whole home. So the next thing I'm going to talk about very quickly is your mindset. I always have a phone conversation with my clients before we do a booking, and I'll say to them a couple of things just so they get in the right mindset before we arrive. You can think of when you declutter and organise your home, you can think of it as just a bit of a declutter, having a tidy up, getting rid of a few things, and that's absolutely fine. And you'll find yourself, you know, being asked questions or asking yourself questions like, when did I last use it, or is this useful to me, things like that. Or you can kind of take it up a notch, and what I say to some clients is, put yourself in the mindset where you're thinking, I want to be someone who lives with less. I'm busy, life is crazy, I have got so much stuff, I cannot control it. I want to be someone who lives with less stuff. And if you put yourself in that mindset, then when it comes to the day you're decluttering, then you want to ask yourself a slightly different question. And that question is, can I live without this? And you'll find that's a much more powerful question. And certainly that's the question I ask myself whenever I am looking at getting rid of something. I don't ask myself, have I worn it in the last year? Or, you know, I might not have seen it in the last year. I don't ask myself, do I have a purpose for it, and try and think up a scenario where I might need it. I simply say, can I live without this? Because if I can, then it goes. It doesn't need to be in my life. And for every tiny item you get rid of, or big item, you are on your way to clearing your home of anything that is going to negatively distract you or clutter your surroundings and your space. You're giving yourself more headspace. You're making it easier to tidy up. You're making it easier to clean. And for every item in your home, you have to remember you have an element of control over. Whether it's an item in the back of a drawer, the back of a cupboard, or something you can see, anything that belongs to you, that's your responsibility and your control. So if you think about it like that, and I certainly do, I don't want that responsibility of a million things in my home. I can't stand the thought of that. My life is busy and hectic enough. I want as little as responsibility as possible within my home so that I can sit back, relax and enjoy my surroundings. So that's just a couple of ways you can look at it, but obviously the way I explain it, one is a lot more dramatic and a lot more powerful than the other, although both work absolutely fine.